The New York Knicks last week fired Tom Thibodeau, and I defended it. I said, hey, listen, Tom Thibodeau essentially had the resume of Mike Budenholzer in Milwaukee without a championship and the resume of J.B. Bickerstaff in Cleveland. I said Tom Thibodeau was a great old school, hard ass defensive coach, but his offense was anemic. He overplayed his starters multiple minutes. He was sort of a ceiling there for the Knicks as a head coach, and he wasn't going to get that franchise over the top. And I had said that the Knicks, in my mind, had made the decision, a lot like apparently Denver did in 2023 before they won the championship, Milwaukee in 2021 before they won the championship, that, if they didn't win the championship, that Budenholzer and Mike Malone were both going to be let go. Those two teams won the championship. The Knicks did not. But I thought the Knicks would have a plan as to who to hire as their head coach. And it does seem like their owner, James Dolan, is now meddling in New York Knicks business once again, which it's no coincidence when he wasn't meddling, has been the best 2, 3 years of Knicks basketball we've seen in my lifetime. Being born in 1998. And so, with that being said, the Knicks have tried to talk to Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Ime Udoka, head coach of the Houston Rockets, and Jason Kidd, head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. All three of those franchises, obviously, all three of them Western Conference teams, but all three of them have told the Knicks, go screw off, go find your own coach. Now, I do think the Knicks should not go after a retread. I think Mark Jackson, that name has been floated out there a lot with the Knicks. Even a Jeff Van Gundy, who has recently got back into coaching as sort of an assistant with the Clippers. I think maybe even a guy like a Stan Van Gundy. All these retreads, right? They're older guys, and I do think they're good coaches, but they've been out of coaching for so long. I don't know how good they'd be. The NBA has certainly changed, especially the regular season with the 3-point shot. And I do think that, maybe you find a young assistant. There's been mention of Johnny Bryant, a Cleveland Cavaliers assistant with Kenny Atkinson, who could bring that 3-point shooting Cleveland Cavaliers style to the New York Knicks, which they absolutely need. We've talked about the Knicks and what they're going to do, and I do think they're going to make a big move this offseason, whether it's going for Kevin Durant, which I think is a real possibility, or as I have floated out there, is there a scenario where if they would have got Jason Kidd, maybe one of the reasons why they wanted Jason Kidd so bad is because they thought it could help them land Giannis Antetokounmpo, because we know Jason coached Giannis in Milwaukee. We know Giannis felt good about Jason, and the Knicks are trying to make a big splash. And I think the Knicks, they see this as they overachieved this year, right? That Boston had a bad year. They got lucky. The Cavs were bounced by Indiana, and they don't think the Pacers are a very good team. I've iterated over and over again. The Indiana Pacers are not a very good basketball team. And they thought, how close are we really to a championship, even though we did go to the Eastern Conference Finals? Arguably not that close. And Jalen Brunson, no matter who you bring in, right? Whether it's Giannis, whether it's KD, I think Jalen Brunson will be the heart of the team. Giannis would be the number one if it was Giannis. So again, I think it's a pipe dream, them getting Giannis. If they bring in KD, I think it would be a good fit, especially if they were able to keep Cat, right? If they got rid of Mikal Bridges, you bring in KD to be your number two slash number three. Doesn't have to be a leader, can just be the scorer. Jalen Brunson can still be your leader. But this to me, with the coaching search, is very odd. Obviously, if I'm Chris Finch, I'm not leaving Minnesota. I got Anthony Edwards. Houston is a team who could also potentially get Giannis. Maybe they move off of Jalen Green. If not, right, you still got Sengun, Ahmed Thompson, who we all think is going to be really a good star. And as I mentioned, Jalen Green, I would not move off that situation. The Dallas one is interesting, right? Because I know they got Kyrie Irving. I know they have Anthony Davis. And we know they're bringing in Cooper Flag with the number one overall pick. And I think Cooper Flag is going to be a tremendous player. I think he's going to be a Victor Wembanyama. I think he could be the next American face of the NBA. I think he's going to come in and be one of the best players in the league right away. The problem if you're Jason Kidd is you still got to compete with Oklahoma City, Houston, LA, both LA teams actually, Minnesota, Golden State, potentially San Antonio. Could New Orleans by chance get better? I mean, the West is absolutely loaded. We're out east. Who knows what Cleveland's going to do? Darius Garland now has undergone toe surgery. He's going to miss the start of the season. We know what Boston's situation is with Jason Tatum. I don't expect the Indiana Pacers to make this kind of run to the NBA Finals again. So it does feel set up that, like, if the Knicks can just stay healthy and maybe they just think, hey, if we stay pat, if we get some more offensive ball movement, if we get, one more rotation guy potentially, maybe a true backup guard outside of campaign as opposed to, Jalen Brunson, and we let Mitchell Robinson sort of be that rim protector, and we add more depth and we get more of an offensive minded head coach. Maybe they think we could just go to the finals. I don't know. It's interesting. Though if I'm a Knicks fan, I don't think you're getting Dan Hurley. I know they think it's MSG and it's the Big Apple and they're going to get a big name. I don't think this is the right job for Dan Hurley. Obviously, Jay Wright, as two of them already know, they tried for, as I already mentioned, Chris Finch, Ime Udoka, Jason Kidd. All three of those franchises said no. So in their mind, are they going to settle, quote unquote, for the young guy, a Johnny Bryant, for example, or another assistant from another team? And by the way, Johnny Bryant was also a previous assistant under Tibbs before he left to be an assistant with Ken Atkinson this year in Cleveland. Um, Say this. Sometimes the best hires are the ones you don't make. I think Jason Kidd would have been a good coach. I think he would have fit New York. I don't know if he's the guy that gets you over the top, but I thought it would have been a nice attempt. I think the Knicks see then that they have an opportunity, that they need to go win the championship next year. The Eastern Conference is going to be wide open. And I'll be interested to see who they make as a coach. But the bottom line is the players have got to play better because, as we saw with Denver, they fired their championship head coach, Mike Malone, and they have given Oklahoma City everything they can handle with essentially Nikola Jokic and Russell Westbrook coaching the team. So the question you also have to ask yourself is, how much does coaching really matter in today's NBA? I would argue not as much as it used to. Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.